Before we begin our page, we're getting close to the end, Kuf Nun Vav, 156. I would like to share with you some halachot in Hilchot Pesach, since we're getting close to Festival of Passover. I'm reading from the Shulchan Aruch and Mishna Berurah, Siman Taf Ayin Gimel, chapter 473, Seif Vav, section 6. נוטל ידיו לצורך טיבול ראשון ולא יברך על הנטילה. If you pay attention during the Haggadah, we have נטילת ידיים, and we do not say a bracha at that time, and that's solely for the first one, for the karpas. So he said one should wash his hand for the sake of the first dipping. He should not make a blessing over the washing. So in a simple way, you may say that we have the mitzvah to tell our children, we want them to ask questions. So they get used to wash hands for the hamotzi, for the blessing of the bread. Now it's different. But let's see what the Mishnah Berurah said. 51. He said, for the sake of the first dipping, this is the dipping that the Shulchan Aruch, the code, proceeds to describe. The reason why one must wash his hands is that if one wishes to eat any article which is dipped in liquid, he is required to wash his hand beforehand, as we said earlier in the section 158. He should not make a blessing. This accords with the ruling of the author of the Shulchan Aruch, that said clearly that you just do it for the dipping. And then the code said he should then take some of the karpas, less than kezait, less than the olive bark, dip it in a vinegar, make the blessing of borei pri adama, and eat it. So he said less than kezait. This is because if one will eat an olive bark, there will be a doubt as to whether or not he is required to make an effort blessing over it. It is therefore preferable for him to eat less than olive bark, so that according to all authorities, there will be no obligation whatsoever to make an after blessing over that. Chometz and vinegar, alternatively, one may dip in a wine or brine, and the author of Shulchan Aruch mean that to rule out dipping in the charoset. This is because charoset is meant only for the second dipping, in which case the maror is dipped in the charoset. And we said that make it the blessing of borei pri adama. One should have in mind, that's very important, listen carefully, one should have in mind that by means of the blessing he is discharging his obligation to make it over maror as well, which he will eat subsequently. That's what the Acholim said. So that's cover both. And then he said, ve'eno mevarech acharav, and he should not make an after blessing over it. This even apply if he ate kezait, olive bark of it. This is because the prior blessing also relates to the maror, as follow for what is explained above. Consequently, the blessing for after the meal, which will discharge the obligation to make an after blessing over the maror that he will eat during the meal, will also relate to the karpas in which he ate previously. And the Biur Halacha and the Gra elaborate on that. And then they said he should subsequently take from the pile of 3 matzot the matzah in the middle and break it into 2. This is done in order to comply with the fact that the scripture described matzah as the bread of poverty, as is usual for a poor man to have only part of the loaf. Usually the poor man keeps some part for the later needed. And then they said he should give a half of it to one of the diners to be preserved for the afikoman, and that half should be put underneath the cloth, and the second half he should put between the two remaining whole matzot. So he said this is required so that both time when one eats for the sake of eating matzah, when one eats for the olive box, when one eats the afikoman, the eating will be from a part of a loaf. It is desirable, he said, that's some achronim hold, for the piece which is to serve for the afikoman to be the larger piece of the matzah. And he put it underneath the cloth. This should be done in remember of what is stated, their dough bundles in the robes. And there are people who put the matzah for the afikoman on that shoulder in reminder to branches of Exodus from Egypt, like some Sephardim Jews. One should be careful to wrap the afikoman in the cloth which was not laundered with wheat starch, since the cover of the pillows are probably laundered with wheat starch. And then he said, after that he should raise the dish which contained the matzot and say the passage halach ma'anya until the questions of manishtana, which means he raised the dish together with everything on it, and it is unnecessary to remove the cook article from it. And he said then la halach ma'anya, or some say halach ma'anya. And Rabbi Moshe Isserlichter said one should say it in the language that is understood by everyone. And this halakha you hear it from me a lot of time, that we should, like Rabbi Moshe Isserlichter instructed us, to make sure that everyone understands it clearly, and otherwise it's an issue. We don't want anyone to feel left over. Then he should order the matzot to be removed from the table and place at the end of the table as if they are already eaten, so that the children will notice and ask about it. At this time we're going to our daf, to our page in the Talmud. This is awesome daf. It's mainly Agadeta, and I know some of you love Agadeta stories and a lot of lessons to learn. For sure, we learned several Hilchot Shabbat, the idea of treating animals, feeding animals, etc. This is a subject that we about to complete. So we also explain the different halachot in that sense, shinui, to do it in an atypical manner, but it will be mainly Agadeta. Ktiv apinkasei di zeirei. We are in the 155. It was written in the Zeire Pinkas. It's like a notebook, and it means that he has, like in the ancient merchant, they used to have a notebook. They have two sides, Rashi said, and they made in a way that they inscribe the writing. Amrit kamei kadam Rabbi. This is what we said before the Rabbi. Umanu Rabbi Chia, teacher Rabbi Chia. Ma'u legabel, what's the halacha in regard to legabel? So we explain that need on Shabbat, which is you have to take a very big blila and you combine it in the atypical way together. Ve'amar li asur, and he said it's forbidden, which is Rabbi Chia hold the same as Rabbi, that you cannot make it even if in atypical manner. That's the Ramban explain. So I ask him, Ma'u lefarek, how about if I need to take from one animal, let's say if you have several animals, and you want to pick up a food from one animal and bring it to another animal. So the food you have there, Rashi explained, he said, mispo mibema achat lashniya, you take a food from one animal to another. Tosfot have a question on that, and he concluded, and he said, orakat mikli lekli, if you carry from one utensil to another, that's the tosfot. But basically he said, Amar li mutar. He said that it's okay, it's not considering tiltul shelo letzorech, you carry it not for the purpose of need, because usually the animal don't like food that was given to another animal. So it's not an issue. In regards to putting food before animals, the Gemara continue, Amar Rav, some said Menashia, some said Rav, Chad kamei chad, if you want to put amount of food that you're putting only in the front of one animal. Trei kamei trei, two before two animals. Shapir damei, it's okay to place it. However, tlata kamei trei asur, three before two animals is forbidden. Why? Because if it's during the week, it's an extra effort, it's an arduous effort, and is no need, so you don't do it. And if you said three before two is forbidden, now you tell me, how about two before one? So Rashi said that's obviously forbidden. So in other words, Rav Menashe hold that you should not place before your animal any amount that exceeding the daily mundane food that you place before the animal. And then he said, then Rav Yosef disagreed with him, and Rav Yosef Amar, Kav ve'afilu kabain. Kav, it's about between 1400 cc to about 2400. It's he said you can exceed it. Ula amar kor ve'afilu korain. Ula go to a very large amount. He most probably was animal lover, and he said that the amount is a amount of kor. He said, in other words, Rav Yosef and Ula said, come on, even usually during the week you don't give them so much in one time, you spread it during the day, but on Shabbat you can give it as much as they need and it's fine. My mom once told me, they live in Haifa, so they have a congregant that retired and they used to own a car shop, mechanic and all the car needs, and they have dog, German Shepherd or something like that watch over the shop on Shabbat, and they always left food on Friday double portion for Shabbat. They sold the business to a fellow who was a secular Jew, and he came back a couple of weeks later and he said he has a problem because he opened the shop on Shabbat and the dog refused to eat. And whatever he tried, he couldn't make it. So he said, either you sell this dog or you get it, but this dog is ineffective because I can't do much on Shabbat with him. He's not cooperate. He sit and he lay, refused to do anything and refused to eat. Anyway, Ktiva Pinkesei de Levi. It's written in the chart, in the notebook of Levi. Amrit Kadam Rabbi, that's what I said before, Rabbi Umanu Rabbeinu HaKadosh, that's applied to the great author, the one who put together the Mishnah, the oral Torah. Al dehavu gavlin shtita bebavel, vehava tzavach Rabbi. He said that in Babylon, they used to do a putting a door with the water, and basically he was unhappy with that. He said that there's something that they shouldn't do. Umanu Rabbeinu HaKadosh, this is Rabbi, al dehavu gavlin shtita veleit shamayli ולית חלה בידי דמייסר, מפני דרבי יוסי ברבי יהודה. So he said that he was unhappy that they do it, but he said people who need Shatit, they did it, and no one listened to him because they follow Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda, and because Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda was a very strong opinion, and he permitted to do it. So the Rif and the Ramban and Rambam Hilchot Shabbat chapter 21 all said that that they allow if you do it an atypical way. So that's the end of that part. So you see here that Rebbe in Mursan and Kali forbids, and in Shatiti allow. Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda allow all different way, in Shtiva Erev, in Gibul, and all these different ways he allow it. Now another notebook. Ktiva Pinkasei de Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. Hai man divchad beshabbat yehe gvar velo chadabe. Now we're going to beautiful Agadeta. He said this is like a diary, words that he wrote before he passed. So he said, whoever was born on Sunday, he will be a person that have a perfect a trait. So what does that mean? He says, velo chadabe. He has only one trait, not other. So the Gemara elaborate. Mai velo chadabe. What do you mean by saying that there will not be one in him? If you tell me he's nothing good, Rav Ashi, the great man, the one who sealed the Talmud, said that he was born on Sunday. And Rav Ashi has a great trait. You tell me that is a trait for something bad? ואמר רב אשי, ענה ודימי בר ככוז תאהב יום אחד בשבתא. אנא מלך והוא הרי איש גנבי. He says, come on, I was born on Sunday, and this fellow, Dimi, he was born also on Sunday. I am a king because he was the head, a big rabbi, and this Dimi was the head of the thieves group. So, and we both born on Sunday, meaning that both righteous and wicked born on Sunday. Ela ikule letivu, ikule levishu. So it means that they have a strong personality, strong trait, and either they are the top or the bottom, but he meant to say that there is no middle in their personality, those who born. But Marsha and Maharal tell us that we shouldn't take it literally. It's much deeper, but in a simple, literal manner, it's someone who born there. My Tama, the Gemara tried to rational the idea. It said the Ibrube or Vechoshech, because on Sunday we have light and darkness. The Hashem created the extreme, so therefore is no middle. And he continued reading from that notebook. Hai man de bitrei b'Shabbat yer gvar agzan. Whoever was born on Monday will be a temper person, get angry easy. My tama, what's the reason? Mishum deipligu b'Maya, because the Torah said in Bereshit, in Genesis, the first chapter, Posuk Vav Zayin, he said that the water above the rakia, right, and the water below, Hashem splitted them. So he said, because it's the Meiri said that since this is the only day that it doesn't say the word kitov for good, so therefore it's split to two, and it's an anger personality. But the Meiri concluded and he said that by praying, alei tefila efshar leshanot, by praying, a person can change that destiny. Hai mandi bitlata b'Shabbat yehe gvar atir vezana yehe. Whoever was born on Tuesday have a lot of wealth, but a lot of act of promiscuity, like a lack of modesty. That's what Rashi said. My tama mishum de'ibru be'asavim, because they have this grass and they fruitful and multiply very quickly. And that's apply, he said, to a wealth, but also to lack of modesty. It doesn't threaten the word leminehu. Haimanda be'arba'a b'Shabbat, whoever was born on Wednesday, yehe gvar chachim v'nahir. He will be smart, and according to Aruch, he will be a person of memory. The count on his remembrance. He remember a lot. It is like, God bless him, my son-in-law, Rabbi Deutsch, he is, since the very young age, all those years, he is now studying Dayanut, to be Dayan, but all those years, the Rosh Yeshiva said he was the source, before the era of computer, for now, which means money, which means that he, whatever you give him a quote, or something, he give you the exact location, where is it, so he have a great memories. Then they said, "My tama." What's the reason? Mishum de'itlu meorot, because God put the light on Wednesday, and the Torah is like light, because they said in Mishlei, in the book of Proverbs, chapter 6, "V'Torah o," the Torah is a light. Rashi said, so therefore he has this great ability of remembering. Hi man. The Bechamsha B'Shaba, whoever was born on Thursday, so they said, Yehe Gvar Gomel Chasadim. You will be a person of doing a great kindness. My Tama, Mishum the Ibru Bei Dagim Ve'ofot, because fish and a lot of fall. It's all of them was born according to Genesis first chapter sentence 21. All these animals does not have to make an extra effort to get their food. The fish have always food ready for them, and the same as the fall. So the Maharsha explains, so they all depend directly in our language on Hashem. They don't have intermediary, they don't depend like the dog waiting for you to feed him. Okay? Haiman de b'male Shabta. Whoever was born on Erev Shabbat. Erev Shabbat can be Thursday night after sunset, like your rabbi. Or, so they say, Yehe Gvar Chazran. So he will be Gvar Chazran, they said that seeker. So Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Chazran b'mitzvot, which means you're a person who's sick to do mitzvot. What does that mean? It's Erev Shabbat, it's Friday. So what a person occupied, what he's seeking now? To prepare Shabbat for himself and for everyone else. Right? To make sure that everyone has all the preparation before Shabbat. So that's what applied. Haiman de b'Shabta, Yehe, whoever was born on Shabbat, soon you see what does that mean. B'Shabta Yamut. He will pass on Shabbat, al de'achilu alo yom haraba leShabta, because since the delivery of baby on Shabbat involved in desecration of Shabbat, and because they desecrated Shabbat for him, he will pass on Shabbat. Okay, so now Maharil asks, how come people who born on Shabbat not always passed on Shabbat? So he explained that that's during the course of life of a person, he can change by his action his destiny, which means there is a set up destiny, but a person by doing a lot of good deed, he created a special zchuyot, a special merit, privileges for himself, who turn to change his destiny. So that's and vice versa. So that's what he meant. A good example, if you remember, we talk about King Solomon. So right before his reign, King David passed, his father, and King David passed on Shabbat. And it was a very serious issue because this is the most honorable person, yet it's a hut and the body is lying outside, and it was an issue, can we remove it to a shady area, can we treat the body or do something, since in one hand we need to respect the corpse, especially if it's King David, on the other hand we do not want to violate Shabbat. Amar Rava bar Rav Shila, Vekadisha Rabba Yidkerei. So that person will call a great sanctity because he was born on a sacred day of Shabbat. The Torah said, Vaikadsheu, that God sanctified it. Amar lu Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Chanina disagreed and he said, Puku amaru lo levar rivai, lo mazal yom gorem, ela mazal sha'a gorem. And I wish that Bruce is here, the big physicist, because now he said that it's not the day what's count, what count is the consolation, which means you have all these list of different consolation, and that's what's involved. And now I'm going over that in a very light way, because we can go deep and it will take forever. He said, Haiman divechama gvar zivtan. Whoever was born at the time that the sun is strong, he will have a face like lightning face, like the sun. Yeh achil midilei v'shati midilei, which means he eat for himself, he is not dependent on others. Verazoi galan, he will know a lot of secrets because he's like the sun that know everything. Iganiv lamatzlach, if he steal, he will not be successful. Haiman de bechochav noga, whoever was born in the Noga star, Yegvar atir vezana yehe, will be rich and will be immodest person. My tama ditlei beinura, that this fire mishum ditlei beinura, because this fire which applied to the sexual desire is lit like a stove. Haiman di bekochav, whoever born in that star that reflect the sun, Yegvar nahir v'chakim, mishum de safra de chamau, he is like the scribe of the sun. Haiman bilvana, whoever in the time, the consolation time of the moon, Yegvar savil marin, unfortunately will be a person who will suffer a lot of diseases. Banai v'satir satir vanai, he build and destroy, build, destroy. Why? Because if you look at the functioning of the moon, it's shining big, then it's nothing, and darkness, and vice versa, all the time. Achil de lo delay, vishatid lo delay. Unfortunately, depend on other, nothing by himself, because the moon depend on the sun. Verazoi kasyan, which means his secret will be covered. Im ganav matzleach, if you'll be a thief, you'll be successful. Haiman de Shabtai, whoever was born in the time of Shabtai. So this the star what? Yemachshavotav betelim. That one that Shvita Onkelos said is bitul, is annulling, which means that his thought will not be count. Everything they think on him will be erased. Haiman di betzedek, yehegvar tzadkan. Whoever was born in Jupiter will be a person of justice. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, v'tzadkan b'mitzvot. It's applied to tzedakah, that he will be righteous in doing the mitzvot, especially the mitzvah of tzedakah. Haiman de b'ma'adim. Now listen carefully. Whoever was born under the influence of Mars, he said, Yehegvar Ashei Dama. He will be a person who spills blood. Amar Rav Ashi said, I umana. If this is the person who used to be in those days a person who draw blood, so that will be his profession. I ganava, or he will be a robber that kill in order to get the money. I tabacha, a slaughterer, a butcher. I mohala, or a mohel, a circumciser. Amar Rabba, hana b'ma'adim avai. He says, I'm Rabbah, the great Rav, and I was born in Mars, in a reflection of Mars, and I'm not spilling blood of anyone. Amar Abaye, Marna me'anish vekatil. He said to her, no. You also, my master, also punishes and kill as a judge. So it's a famous GEMARA that speak about that trait. They said in the Tractate Megillah, chapter 7b, remember Gil when we study Megillah? In page 7b, the GEMARA said that it was a Purim, and it was Rabbah get drunk, and while he was drunk, he killed Rabbi Zera while he was drunk, and then he prayed, make a lot of prayer, and he revivified him. He brought him back to life. Which again, we need to understand exactly the Khatam Sofer in Orach Chaim Kuf Pei Hei explained what exactly happened. It was physical or not, but in general, the point is, you too have, Abaye said to him, you do have that trait. And it's expressed when you are drunk. Itmar. Now, something very important, you hear it a lot of time from people, so listen carefully. Rabbi Chanina Omer, Mazal Machkim, Mazal Ma'ashir. He said the mazal, the constellation, is makes one wise and vice versa. And he said, V'yesh mazal Israel. And we as a Jewish people have the influence of that mazal, of that consultation. Now is a problem. We study many times, the Torah said in Deuteronomy, in Dvarim, chapter 18, you should be wholehearted with your Lord your God. And it's a famous Rashi there that said that you should follow God bitmimut, without searching anything. And here it turns that they said that I depend on that. So this is one school of thought. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Ein Mazal Israel. He says no, it's nothing. It's no any type of consultation to Jewish people. So Rashi said something very important. 2 lines from the bottom. Rashi said the Al Yedei Tfilah Uzchut Mishtane Mazalo Letova. Rashi said by praying and increase good kindness, a person's mazal, a person in our lucid language, luck, a bad consultation, if you want to use this word, change for better. So it's very important to mention the Maharsha. Maharsha said here that all of this apply only to discussion over individual, but as far as the public, as far as the community, we said on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, Uteshuva, Utefila, Utzedaka, Ma'avirin et Ruach Zera. So as far as the community, repentance, prayer and charity, returning to God, prayer and charity, change the fasting and all of that, change the severe decree. So that's apply what all of this discussion over individual, not over community. Ve'azda Rabbi Yochanan etamei. Rabbi Yochanan wants to prove his point that we are above consultation. Da'amar Rabbi Yochanan minayin shen mazal Yisrael shenemar, they said in the book of Jeremiah chapter 10, Ko amar Hashem el derech hagoyim al tilmedu mutat Hashem al derech hadu ki echad hagoyim me'ima. Well, you see all these different nature phenomena, all kind of sometimes frightening, lightning and earthquake and hurricanes and tornadoes and all kind of things like that. Hem yechatu velo Israel, which means whoever, the people idolaters and people who worship all kind of others, those will be dismayed by them, but not us. So ואף רב סבר אין מזל לישראל דאמר רב יהודה אמר רב. That's very important what we're going to study. Anybody who asks you this question, מניין שאין מזל לישראל, how do you know that we are above this? Because they said about Avraham Avinu, the Torah said that Avraham was at his 80s, and God promised him that he will have a son, and God wants to prove it. So what did God say to Abraham? Shenemar in Genesis 15, Vayotze oto achutza, that God took him outside, and what did God told him? So Amar Avraham לפני הקדוש ברוך הוא ריבונו של עולם Ben Beiti yoresh oti. I have Eliezer there, that not my natural son. What's going to happen? Amar lo. So God said to Abraham, Lav, he is not going to be inherited. Ki asher yetze memeecha yirashecha. Whoever come out of you will be the continuation. Amar lefanav. Abraham said before God, Ribono shel olam, nistakalti b'istaglenut sheli. I knew, meaning Abraham, I knew all these consultation, all these tricks, all these things that all the others use. In a regular way, I do not have a child. God told him, come out of this. So the whole idea here is, the Ran said that there's the two different entities. We talk about spiritual and we talk about physical. Physical like wisdom, wealth, and all of that, that's a different opinion. But as far as the mitzvot, good deeds, it's not dependent on consultation. Everyone agree that it's upon the person working on himself. Now, She'en mazal Israel, that God said to Abraham, we are above this consultation. My datech, what do you think? What is your thinking? 156b. Dekai tzedek b'ma'arav, because Jupiter is in the west, so that's a cold place. So you will not have a children. Rashi said. So even we said earlier that that's a person that have tzedakah, and Abraham has it. He ran out for gas. So God said, Mehadrana umukmin alei b'mizrach. I turn it and put it in the hot place so he can bring children. V'hainu dechtiv, and that's what Isaiah said in 41. Mi ir b'mizrach tzedek, yikraeu legraglo. So who has rise up one from the east, he will cut justice to his steps. So it's very important to understand. Number one, that God in a way took Jupiter and establishes, especially for Abraham, a special exception in that sense. But the whole point of faith, unshakable faith of Abraham and Sarah, when God took him out and told him, count the stars. One Midrash said that he counted 6,000 stars. And that Midrash go ahead and said that the entire Tanakh, the whole 39 books of Tanakh, the whole, depending on how you count, but it's 24. Okay? It's 6,000 promises that God fulfilled. But furthermore, the whole point is the idea of we, as the descendants of Abraham, should understand that here is a man that reached his 80s and lost faith, in a sense, or questioned the faith of God's promise, and God said, I promise it will happen, you just have to keep. And that's something that we should take to heart, because many times we doubt, we have dreams, we have visions, we want to do things, and then we have this other side, the evil inclination that said, nah, you are too old, you are destined to be a mediocre, you are just average, that's your destiny. And you know that you are most appointed person, you are appointed by the highest God, so you have a potential. Yes,
that was the reason why God sent Abraham descendant into captivity and slavery, because that doubt that he had.
One rabbi said it, but the whole idea of destined for the future is to raise them high, to be a good role model. But it's a good point. The key is we learn from Abraham the idea of above everything else, above this psychic, what they said and what the consultation said, and all the Teshuvah, Tefillah, Tzedakah basically can turn around all the situation. Let me share with you a story about my great-great-grandfather. I know that some people are interested to hear a story from my ancestor. I have the privilege to be a son after son of the Noam Elimelech, great Rabbi Elimelech of Lizhensk, whose name is Rabbi Elimelech Weisblum, my son named after him. And the story goes that it was two brothers, my great uncle Rab Zusha of Anipoli and his brother Rabbi Elimelech. And one time someone came before Rab Zusha of Anipoli, and he said it's a very large business deal in the Far East, and he wants him to give him blessing before he goes and do that very large transaction. Rab Zusha was not only indigent, but was a man of God, man that have very high level of ability. He closed his eyes, a long moment of silence, and he said, I hear the deal, I hear what you said, don't go. He said, I promise you 10% tithe. It's a huge deal. Let's talk in our language. Many millions involved here. And if I make the deal, 10% I give to you yeshiva, to you, whatever you need. Closed his eyes and said, don't go. The man walked out and he was very disturbed, because those type of deals doesn't happen every day. And the big horror to make fortunate and quick way, it's something that very many people carries. And he decided, since day or two passed by and all his friends said, you have such a deal, what you're doing, why you at? So he went to Rabbi Elimelech. And Rabbi Elimelech here, and he said, Rabbi, if I go there, I give 10% to the yeshiva. And Rabbi Elimelech bless him, said, all right, go there, you should go in peace and return in peace. And the man said, thank you. And he said, I promise, I'll give 10% tithe. The man went on a journey. It's a well-known story. And they went to a place like the Triangle Bermuda or something like that, very dangerous place. They went to the large boat, and sure enough, everything was very shaky, and the whole area was like over-flooded, and the boat was torn to pieces, and he miraculously just have a little piece of wood on his small boat that jumped out of the big one. And he found a small island, and he was by himself for 2 days. Nobody else. He only was his carry bag and a little boat that brought him to that island. He prayed, and all of a sudden it was a large boat came in. He was shouting, screaming, and luckily they saw him. They stopped by. They said, "Who are you?" Well, he told them the whole story. He told them the other boat, no one survived. Only he survived that tremendous accident, tremendous phenomena. Where you need to, he explained them where he needs to go, someplace around those Far East countries. They put him on the boat and took him to that city. He made a deal, he paid all the money, he took all the merchandise, he came home, he made fortunate. He came to Rabbi Elimelech and he gave him the 10%. Everything went lovely. Then he went to Rab Zusha. And Rab Zusha said, "So what's going on?" He said, "I went." He says, "You went and you're alive? How come?" So he told him the whole story. So Rab Zusha closed his eyes and he said, "Look, I saw a huge accident in the water, and I saw that the boat will fall apart and tear apart and no one survived. And I told you not to go. But my brother Elimelech is above me, above the mazal, above all of that. His level of spirituality is higher than me. And therefore he saw that you will be the exception. That's above me." So you see an implication here when you have this machloket. They say that we have a mazal, we don't have a mazal. So for sure, people in their teshuva, tefillah, tzedakah can change the destiny for better. Umi de Shmuel nami, over the stories that Shmuel tells us, it's proved that en mazal Israel, that we are above all of that. How? So they said the Shmuel ve'ablet havu yatvei. Ablet it was a fellow that was a psychic and like astrologers that know the consultation of the stars. So they sat together. Vahavu ka'aznei hanach inche le'agma. Listen to this story. It's a fascinating story. They saw people who are going to the lake. Imagine these two people, this great rabbi and this great psychic or one who reads the consultation. They both sitting close to this lake, and they saw people pass by. אמר להבלית לשמואל, היי גברא אזיל ולא עתי, תריק לחיביה ומת. You see this fellow, let's call him Mr. A. He is going, but he's not coming back because he's a snake going to bite him, and he's going to die. Which means he saw, like a good psychic, he saw that exactly the time of the consultation of that person, and he knew already what's going to happen. Amar li Shmuel, Shmuel responds and says, no, Ibar Israelu azil ve'ati. If he's one of us, he will go and return. So some rabbis said that Shmuel make a prayer for him, and that prayer changed that person's destiny. But anyway, Adi Yatvei, while they're sitting, Azel ve'ati, that person they sat most probably for whatever, couple of hours, the person went and came back. Kam Avlet, Shadi Eletune. So Avlet came to that person, he took whatever he carried from that lake, Ashka Bechivaya. He opened and he noticed that it was a dead snake. Difsik, dangerous snake. Difsik Ushtei Betarti Kubei. That was cut to two pieces, that large snake. Amar li Shmuel, ma yavadet? Shmuel said to him, what did you do today that you deserve to be alive? Amar le, kol yom ava maraminan rifta be'ad adade v'achlina. Every single day, we are a group of people and we have a bread, and one collect and split the bread for all the people. Ha'inna, but today, hava ikachad minad lava lerifta. We have someone who didn't come with his sandwich, who didn't have the bread. Hava kamichsaf. He was very insulted. He needs to eat. And ma'ina lu'a kam'ina ve'armina ki matai legabei shaven nafshe ki made shekila minei. So Rashi said that I pretend that I'm collecting some bread from him, and basically I took in my portion and gave it for him in order for him not to be embarrassed. So Shmuel said to him, mitzvah avadet, you did a mitzvah of tzedakah. And Nafak Shmuel v'darash, Shmuel come out and said what King Solomon said in Mishle in Proverbs chapter 10, u'tzedakah tatzil mimavet. And tzedakah save, charity will save from death. It does not only mean that it will save a person from what? Velo mimita mishuna, not only from unusual death, ela mimita atzma, but also for even death itself, because that person was destined to die, but because he did tzedakah, he changed his destiny to survive, to live. Umi de Rabbi Akiva nami, and also from the story of Rabbi Akiva, Ein Mazal Israel. This is another fascinating story. The Rabbi Akiva Havalei Brata, Rabbi Akiva have a daughter, Amalei Kaldai. Kaldai is a people who's people who see the consultation. They said, the day that she is going to get married, she's going to die. Your daughter. God forbid. So, Hava de'iga milta tuva. Rabbi Akiva was very concerned about what he heard. Hahu yoma, the day that she went to her wedding, most probably he prayed hard. Shakalta lemachbanta detzadta beguda. she took one of her the stick that they put on the hair that they put into what? The ear pin. And it was made out of gold, that's large one, and she put it on the wall behind her. So it was a snake inside that wall, and he cut his eye and he killed him. In the morning, she wants to put the hair together, so she was looking. She pulled out from the wall, and she noticed, some rabbi said, blood or something. So, she saw that this fellow is a dead snake. Amar le'avua, her father, Rabbi Akiva, said, Maya vadet. What did you do that you deserve? In other words, she was destined to die at her wedding day, and she did something. Amra lei bifana ata anya kara baba. In the evening, we have a poor person that come to our house. Everyone was busy on preparation for the wedding. No one listened that he's a poor man standing on the door. I have my part in the meal, so I took my plate and I gave it to the poor person who was at the door. Amar le, Rabbi Akiva said to his daughter, mitzvah avadet, because the mitzvah of tzedakah you did, nafak. So because of that, you survive. Nafak Rabbi Akiva v'darash, u'tzedakah tatzil mimavet. Rabbi Akiva said that the act of charity save a person from death, ve'lo mimita mishuna. It's not only from unusual death, ela mimita atzma. Even for death itself, tzedakah can change the destiny of a person. Umi de Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak nami, ein mazal Yisrael. It's another story about Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. We learned that there is no consultation for us. The made Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak amar le kaldai barich gam lava. It's those Kaldai who was an expert in those days in consultation. They told her, your son that just born is going to be a thief. Lo shvaktei galui reishei. She, since the very beginning, she never let him go without kippah, without yarmulke. From the very beginning. She told him, you have to cover your head, so you have a fear of heaven. So the GEMARA said in the Darim, page 30, that in those days they didn't cover the head of the little children. Only the kids turned bar mitzvah, etc., or the age of education they did it, but at a very young age they didn't do it. Ube'ei rachamei, and while you have a kippah from the very young age, you ask Hashem that the evil inclination will not control you. So lo hava yada amai kamrale. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak never understand why the mother told him that to cover his head. Yom achad yativ kagaris tute dikla. He was sitting under the tree, the palm tree. Nafal glima milavei reishei. His cover of his head fall down. Dale enei chaza ledikla. He raised his eyes and he looked at the palm tree. Al me yitzrei. He has the evil inclination. Salik paske lekibura beshinei. He went and he collected a cluster of date in his teeth, and it was as his, Rashi said, and he ate it, which means is the trait of thievery. So let's face it, if a person wants to go to a nightclub, or to see a non-kosher movie, etc., etc., so if he take off his yarmulke, it's much easier than to go with the kippah and the whole appearance as a Jew to those places. So that's what his mother told him, that you, by your mazel, has to be whatever they told me, but you can change it if you have your shamayim, fear of heaven, and that's yarmulke is one of the act. And now we're going to practical halachot. Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim, chapter 2. A man may not walk 4 cubits, that's the Mishnah Berurah, with his head uncovered, even under a roof. So you feel maybe, if I'm driving my car or if I'm on the roof, I can go without kippah. So he said now, as covering one's head is a custom of piety and leads to fear of God. The story of Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak is one of many sources that mention this custom. Although there are halachic authorities who explicitly characterize covering one's head as a merely custom of piety, like the Maharshal, like the Vilna Gaon, the majority of the Jewish men are especially vigilant when it comes to covering their heads. So yes, it's true, it's a very important tradition, but in our generation, unlike the past, it turned the way that others recognize us. And let's face it, the social stigma that others put on us marks a difference. And that marks a difference, make us more aware of who we are, what we are, and the presence of God at all times.
Kare tu, kare